is now race time in Macau. Edward Mortara.
An Audi front row, led by Mortara.
Ferdinand can take both of them out, and through goes the Audi. Mortara bounces, and the perfect time. Oh no! Macau strikes again. And millions of dollars of damage here. It's going to be a big one.
Play driver, Eduardo Mortara.
各位观众，大家好，欢迎来到我们的直播现场。即将进行的是国际汽联 GT 世界杯的正赛的直播现场了。那么今年也恰逢澳门格兰披治大赛车70周年，这里可谓众星云集。奥迪也是带来了他们的明星车手阵容。具体他们是谁呢？让我们通过一条短片了解一下。70 years of Macau Grand Prix, 40 years of Audi Sport, definitely making this event special. Audi is bringing a superstar lineup with 4 top drivers. And before the race starts, let's take a look at who they are.
"2023 heralds the return of the FIA GT World Cup to the legendary Gia circuit, and with it, the return of Mr. Macau, Edo Mortara. The popular Swiss, Italian, French driver, one of the most successful competitors in the 70-year history of the Macau Grand Prix. Mortara will be looking to build on his domination of the 2011, 2012 and 2013 events for Audi, the brand with the 4 rings looking to add to their most recent win at Macau in 2016, which came in dramatic fashion for Mortara's then teammate, Lawrence Vanthoor. Second in the Macau GT Cup last year after qualifying fastest, Mortara is arguably one of the pre-event favourites and will be doing everything in his considerable power to return to the top step of the podium. Joining Mortara for Audi Sport Asia Team Absolute will be Christopher Haase, the German factory favourite, making his 3rd start on the Gia circuit, having last finished 5th in 2019. Like Mortara, Haase has a string of Audi victories on his resume, notably victory at the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, whilst he has also seen success across Asia in recent years at both Suzuka and Sepang. Joining the European factory stars are 2 of Asia's highest profile GT drivers, Chinese FAW Audi racing pilot Frankie Chung and Hong Kong's Adelie Fong. Chung has been an icon for Chinese fans for more than a decade, having been indelibly linked to the brand with a 4 wins. The reigning Chinese endurance champion returning to Macau for just the 2nd time since 2016. For Adelie Fong, not only will he be celebrating 50 years of Hello Kitty on his Uno Racing Audi R8 LMS, but the former Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup champion will be looking to improve on his 5th place finish outright in 2016 and 6th place finish last year. Hello and welcome back to Macau for the 2023 FIA GT World Cup at the 70th Macau Grand Prix in a year where we also celebrate 40 years of Audi Sport GmbH. Today is feature race day off the back of what was a dramatic day of action yesterday with a red flag interrupted qualification race. A race that saw Audi's Edo Mortara finish on the podium and setting himself up for a potential 5th victory on the streets of the Gia circuit. Things are underway down on the grid, and we're down there now with Chris Reinke and Alex Blackie. Some delays to the start of the race. You can see the beautiful harbour of Macau, in which the circuit is situated. And it sounds like we might have Alex Blackie, who is the manager of Audi Sport Customer Racing Asia, down there on the grid with Feline. In the not too distant future. Some technical challenges, obviously, with the mass amount of people that are down here on the grid at Macau. It has attracted a lot of people from the local region and, of course, the international world of motorsport returning for the F3 Grand Prix and the FIA GT World Cup.
Hey Alex, great to have you here. And what does it mean to be here for Customer Racing Asia?
I mean, the Macau Grand Prix is the jewel in the crown for custom racing Asia. It's by far the most iconic, the most exciting, the most unpredictable event that we have. We've had 30 customer entries over the course of the weekend, and now we're here for the GT World Cup final. So really, it's an incredible event. Edo Mortara is starting in P2, and let's see what we can do on the track. It's going to be a really exciting race. Don't go anywhere.
OK， 那刚刚我问到 Alex 呢，那么对于奥迪运动亚洲客户赛车来讲，来到这里意味着什么？他也提到呢，这是非常非常重要的一个在亚洲的非常重要的一个重量级的赛事。那么来到这里呢，也代表了就是对于整个赛车也是非常，对于奥迪的赛车的运动也是非常的重要。那么 back to you guys。
Great to hear from Alex Blackie, and what is an historic year for Audi Sport, and to have them back with the FIA GT World Cup. Of course, Mortara was second here last year in the Macau GT Cup, and that filled the slot on the grid for the last 3 seasons. He starts third today, and he'll be looking to improve on that and add to his 4 GT Cup victories on the streets of Macau, an additional victory, of course, with the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup back in 2013. So hopefully we can get down on the grid very shortly and talk to Mr. Macau and see how he is going to play this out in the 70th running of the Macau Grand Prix.
Hey Edo, I know yesterday you made the fastest lap and today start from P3. And what will be your approach for this race?
It's difficult to say. The main thing would be to have a good start and try to have a good first lap.
Have a good race. Yeah. 那刚刚我问到 Edo 呢，他昨天呢也是拿到了最快单圈。那么今天的比赛呢，他提到最重要的是发车的环节。那也希望呢今天能有一个非常好的结果。Back to you guys.
Well, he's been here before. He started from various positions on the grid. He certainly started from the front row a number of times and gone on to victories. He started from the second row and seen a way through to get to the front of the field. So it's all in front of Edo Mortara, and if you wanted a driver that you could pin your hopes on to actually take this through to victory, you would argue that the man who has won at this circuit 7 times is the best person to actually have that opportunity. So we might actually be down there on the grid with Chris Reinke before too much longer, the boss of Audi Sport. He was just standing there off Felina's shoulder as we were talking to Edo Mortara. And it'd be great to hear from Chris on their return, of course, to the gear circuit after a 3-year sabbatical. The ratings continue, and there's been some great successes, but certainly it is nice to see the international eyes turning again once more to Macau.
We are here starting the beginning of the lap with the start of the race, going through the first 2 corners. The first one is flat, the second one, Mandarin, is the fastest corner around the track. It's a corner where you need to be extremely brave. Not all drivers and not with all cars you can do it flat out, but yeah, if the setup is correct and you're brave enough, let's say, it's something that you go there without a lift. Lisboa is always very tricky because you need to avoid the bumps on braking in order to brake as late as you can. If you can do that, normally you have an advantage on the others. You're obviously coming at very, very high speed there, just before the corner is around 280 kilometers per hour. And we need about 100 meters, let's say, to brake the car. Pretty fast and pretty short amount of braking on bumps, where you have the entire car that is dancing quite a lot, moving quite a lot. Very lucky to have the possibility to overtake these 2 cars in Lisbon. Then the rest of the lap I was kind of able to stay in front. Finished I think P2 on track. Still some good memories, and yeah, in the end, even if it wasn't the best year for us in Macau, we were still able to finish on the podium. Macau is a very complete racing track. All corners are extremely important. I would say that where drivers can make the difference is definitely the second, third and fourth sector. You have a succession of left and right hand corners where rhythm is very important. You need to know exactly what kind of bumps are where, in which corners, how to position well the car on the corner entry in order, let's say, to carry speed into the corners, and then also exits are normally actually quite important. Penultimate lap of the 2013 race. As you can see, we're obviously battling for the lead, and it was extremely unlucky actually with the back marker, and that gave me the possibility to have a go in the penultimate corner. I gave him a little nudge, lost the ideal line, and I was able to pass. I was not expecting to win in 2013, but we still managed it.
great to have you here. And what is feel to be back in Macau after such a long time?
Oh, it's such an extraordinary atmosphere, especially when you're out here on the grid. You feel the vibe of this complete scene. It's nowhere matched anywhere in the world. Extraordinary. I have the pleasure just come back from a race win with RS3. Now standing next to the golden car of Edo Mortara. Can't wait for the race to start. Let's get it on.
Thank you. 刚刚呢，我们问到 Chris， 他来到，因为他有很久没有来到澳门了，来到澳门感受如何？他说他感觉非常的棒，因为他刚刚呢是我们也是奥迪也是获得了这个 RS3， 也是获得了这个 TCR 的世界杯的冠军。他也刚刚从邦检台回来，同时呢也希望这个我们的国际汽联 GT 世界杯有一个非常棒的比赛。然后呢，在比赛的开始之前呢，先让我们回顾，让我们了解一下。那么今年呢也是奥迪运动的40周年，让我们通过一条短片。来了解一下。So next video we will show you like the 40 years anniversary of Audi Sport.
Macau has always been of global significance for the Audi brand. It's here in Asia, so from a customer racing Asia perspective, it's really the jewel in our crown. But for many years, you know, since Audi Sport has participated in this event, it's really one of the biggest global platforms we have.
It's a track that doesn't count to come second in. If you set the foot wrong, you're on the wall. It's for the best of the best that come together here to battle it out for the finale of the year. And this is what makes it so important for everybody all around the world.
This year we are celebrating two really important milestones. On the one hand, we have 70 years of the Macau Grand Prix. This is just a phenomenal achievement. You cannot stop this event. And we are lucky enough also to celebrate here 40 years of Audi Sport. So founded as Quattro GmbH in 1983, Audi Sport is really the emotional spearhead of high performance in the Audi brand. So really we've seen so many iterations of icons over the years of Audi Sport, from the S1 Quattro through to our Le Mans cars, our DTM cars, and of course here in Macau we have the R8 LMS GT3.
I think the Asian market reflects development of the complete Audi brand. We used to be a premium manufacturer, but then we built into the performance manufacturer with the arrival of the Audi Sport brand. This excitement is shared all around the world, but especially in Asia.
This is one of the strongest lineups full stop for the GT World Cup. And this is definitely one of the strongest lineups Audi's ever put together. We're really happy because it's the best of both worlds. We have two of the strongest drivers in Germany with the Audi brand. We have, of course, Mr. Macau, Edo Mortara, who's won this event 7 times across different categories. We have Chris Haase, who's really one of the most experienced and quickest Audi Sport drivers on our roster. And we have 2 of the most famous and most experienced GT drivers for Audi in China and the rest of Asia. We're talking about Chung Tongfu, who's raced with the Audi brand for 10 years now, and Adderley Fung, a former champion of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. We've really seen great success over the years with Audi Sport, and really this weekend is the culmination, right? 70 years of Macau, 40 years of Audi Sport, and let's see what we can do.
Hey Michael, this is the first time come to Macau. Great to have you for our show. Tell us how do you feel and how do you feel this atmosphere here?
I mean, I feel great. It's the 70th anniversary of Macau, 40th anniversary of Audi Sport. It's a great day. It's a great weekend. I think you feel the excitement of the driver, of the crowds here. I'm very happy to be here. It's a great day.
Hope you enjoy here.
Absolutely, thank you.
那么刚刚呢，我是问到那个 Michael 呢，他是第一次来到澳门，他也提到呢，非常的开心能够参与到这个赛事当中。同时，因为今年是40年的奥迪运动和70年的这个澳门格兰披治大赛车2个赛事在一起，气氛非常的好。那么他也希望大家都有一个好的比赛。Back to you guys.
Of course, returning to Macau brings with it, back to international regulations, 2 practice sessions ahead of qualifying for the Macau FIA GT World Cup. And then from that, we headed into yesterday's 12-lap qualification race. That sets the grid for today. So qualifying is important because that gets you closer to the front, and we know just how difficult it is to overtake on this very tight and twisty street circuit. Yesterday was terribly interesting from a number of perspectives, and certainly after qualifying with Edo Mortara getting onto the front row, he held pole position through much of the late stages of qualifying before Raffaele Marciello actually threw down a stunning lap to take the top spot away. But it was interesting to see how it did unfold during that 12-lap race. Unfortunately, of course, we had a red flag during the middle of the race, and that did have an impact on the overall result and the ability, of course, of Mortara to be able to move forward. But certainly for his long-time rivals and former teammates, Marciello and Mauro Engel, that did actually create a little bit of a headache for him. He lost position on the run down to Mandarin off the start of the race, and that handed Mauro Engel, who was a three-time winner of the GT Cup here at Macau over the last decade, alongside the 4 wins for Mauro and the single win for pole sitter Marciello. Marciello was clear, Engel had jumped into second, and Edo was dropped back to position 3. And then on lap 5, unfortunately for the fans of the brand with the 4 rings, that was the end of Adderley Fong in the background there, coming through Mandarin. He was just a little bit wide. He was telling me last night when I checked in to see whether he was okay. He said, look, I'm all okay, but unfortunately very, very disappointed. I was a little bit wide into the corner at 200 and something kilometres per hour. Just hit a bump going through the corner, slightly offline. That took the weight off the back of the car. That took the aero off the back of the car, and he spun hard into the safety barrier on the side. He was very grateful for the safety barriers. He was fine. Car, unfortunately, not so much. And unfortunately for him, he will not take part in this 70th Macau Grand Prix event, which is disappointing because at various stages across the course of the weekend, he was just a second off the pace setter. So was having a sterling day was Adderley Fong during Thursday's 2 practice sessions. It's been a long week because this is the second weekend of competition on the gear circuit, and unable to convert into qualifying. Started from position number 14, slowly working his way up. He was up to about position number 12 when the incident happened, and then that was the end of that. As a result of that and a couple of other retirements, Frankie Chung was able to move forward from position number 18 up to position 14, where he finished the opening race. And then, of course, Christopher Haase was able to move forward from position 10 to position number 8. So cars just trying to get as much temperature into the tyres as they can. We'll see 3rd car in this row as we're down to Melco hairpin. Here's Mr. Macau, Edo Mortara. He, of course, is racing with the colours of the Storm Riders. His predominantly gold colouring represents cloud. Christopher Haase, predominantly silver, with the fluoro yellow represents wind. Legend has it that the Storm Riders are unstoppable. So let's see how this one plays out. Rolling start. We're heading down now towards Fisherman's. The safety car will head off into the distance, and teams will form themselves up 2 by 2. And the field will be controlled by the pole sitter and race winner yesterday, Raffaele Marciello. Haven't seen the pace car pull off just yet. Assuming that's the way things are going to form up. This is the rolling start, and everything happens off the start. We've seen it all unfold at Reservoir in the past, predominantly down at Mandarin. That is your great opportunity off the start. The cars are never closer, apart from perhaps a safety car restart, but this is where the drivers need to plan what they're going to do. This is where they need to know how they can attack and make a move for position. It'll never be a better time. Marciello rider screen. Mauro Engel alongside him. Look at that red car right under the rear wing of the fluoro yellow car. Engel moves across to try and block Mortara. Mortara's now got Farfus up alongside him. He's got some competition as he heads down through Reservoir and down towards Mandarin. Engel now trying to attack for the race lead. He can't quite pull off what he did yesterday. Mortara's locked into position number 3. He'll try and hold Farfus out, and further back under fire is that fluoro yellow and silver entry of Christopher Haase. What have we got down at the breaking point into Lisboa? Does everybody get through? Great opportunity here to move. Oh, that's opened the door. Haase needs to be careful there. We saw with Juncadella trying to make a move on Mortara yesterday. That doesn't always work. but it looks like Christopher Harter has gotten through unscathed. Up front though, yesterday's winner and the man who set the top qualifying position by just over 0.2 of a second on Edo Mortara, Raffaele Marciello leads the way. Three-time winner Mauro Engel immediately behind him, and we are on board with the number 40 entry of Mr. Macau, Edo Mortara. What does he have in his very extensive arsenal? Very experienced campaigner. He is called Mr. Macau for a reason. Much like the King of Macau, Rob Huff, they can find that little bit of extra magic. Unfortunately for Huffy, just earlier in position to win the TCR World Tour, unfortunately made a slight error about this part of the circuit. Used the horn on his Audi RS3 to just tap the back of the car in front of him to let them know they were there. That popped the bonnet up into the windscreen. Unfortunately for him, they weren't able to convert that into title victory. But again, he was right there. He showed just how good he is around this circuit, and you can rely on Edo Mortara to achieve exactly the same. That's actually Van der Linde who's got into position number 4. I'm sorry about that. I thought it may well have been his teammate Augusto Farfus, who's a former winner. Of course, Van der Linde yet to win here. His brother, Kelvin Van der Linde, one of the factory favourites for the Audi Sport team in Europe, certainly in GT and DTM competition. As Marciello comes down towards Bend, again to lead the field back across the line. Augusto Farfus is shown in position number 4, showing Van der Linde. So I'm looking at the timing. Okay, so something's happened on that lap potentially, but Van der Linde is locked into position 4. But it's Farfus who is on speed, the fastest car on track, as now Van der Linde looks to try and find a way past Mortara. Audi doing everything it can just to hold that BMW at bay, running down to Lisboa, protecting the inside line. Now Haase looks like he's lost a little bit of position on that opening lap. He's back in position 12, started from position 8. Conditions just about perfect. Humidity's up a little higher than it was yesterday, up at around 50%. Track temperature in the high 20s. Ambient temperature in the low 20s. Not too much pressure on those control Pirelli tyres. You see just how close the cars get to the barriers. This is on board from Mortara, looking backwards at Van der Linde through the Solitude S's, across the top of the circuit, and then the run back down to Fisherman's Reservoir, all down just above sea level. You can see that down below. In fact, it may well have been the reservoir, truth be known. Into Police, and then Moorish, 90-degree right-hander, and on to Donna Maria. You can see just how difficult it is to overtake on this circuit. This is one of the big issues with Macau, and a little bit like Monaco for F1 fans, it is iconic. It is where all the drivers want to come and test their abilities, because it's not for the faint of heart. Your real overtaking opportunities are on that long front straight at around 2 kilometres. The run from Arbender Reservoir, the kink almost flat through to Mandarin. The longest stretch is between Reservoir and Mandarin at 680 metres, and then the run from Mandarin, of course, down to Lisboa, where you're stopping from somewhere near 280 kilometres per hour to try and get through a corner at, well, they say second gear 80 kilometres per hour. That's if you get it right. As Danny Juncadelis saw yesterday, you can also get it wrong, but to be fair to him, he was trying for a move on the outside into Lisboa. Mortara was protecting his line, as he's doing at the moment, try and keep that BMW behind him. Now the lead out to 9/10 of a second, Marciello to Engel. Another 4/10 of a second back from Mortara to Van der Linde, and 7/10 separate Engel from Mortara. Beautiful day here at Macau. Crystal clear, big wins on Friday. They did have a little bit of an impact during qualifying, although it certainly didn't deter Marciello from breaking the qualifying lap record. Coming into the event, it was a 2:15.6. He reset it to a 2:14.5. And then yesterday, Edo actually broke the race lap record. Of course, you don't do that in any other session apart from during the race. It was a 2:17.1 to Earl Bamber back in 2019. Edo Mortara now the lap record holder for the 6.12 kilometre gear circuit. It's 2:16.59 set yesterday. Now further back, Frankie Chung, one of the most experienced drivers you would argue in this field, having driven everything from DTM to WEC to F3 to GT, the reigning China endurance champion for Audi, of course. The FAW supported driver, a bit further back in the field, currently holding down position number 16. And there are a number of drivers who have their careers with the brand with the 4 rings to thank for their careers. Drivers like Alessio Picariello, who's holding down position number 9, the 2016 Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup champion. David Chen, a multiple AM category winner for the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. He's holding down position 14. And of course, Marchie Lee, who was the 2012, the inaugural champion of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. He is in position 19. Look at Adley Fong. He won the second season of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup in 2013 as a result of a massive accident here during qualifying for the round just the week prior to the GT Cup. That accident was very similar to the accident he was involved in yesterday, and that went the way of Alex Young. Alex lost the championship lead and therefore the championship that weekend to Adley Fong, who won that title in 2013. And he went on then to win 3 straight championships immediately after that. So Alex Young, one of Audi's favourites, now very much involved in the future careers of young talent in Malaysia, and no doubt watching this weekend. Mortara has Van der Linde covered. Serra now into position 5 ahead of his compatriot, Augusto Farfus. Great watching him heading up San Francisco Hill. You can see the Lisboa Casino in the background, the all-gold Lisboa Casino Hotel. You can see just how twisty and turny this part of the circuit is through Maternity. A beautiful run now down through Teddy Yep to the Solitude S's. Listen to that singing 5.2 litre V10. And his throttle application, where he's on the throttle, where he's off the throttle. Just dancing the Audi off the edge of the barriers. Down the gears now in towards Police and Moorish. We've seen that turned into a car park in past years. Thankfully, nothing like that this time round. I mean, again, you're looking at the best drivers in the world. It's part of the frustration for Adley Fong, talking to him yesterday, to be within a second of these guys. These drivers are in different parts of the world. Most of these top drivers, every single weekend of the year, competing in GT equipment. For Adley Fong, not too many laps for the Hong Kong-based driver over the last 12 months, since he was here 12 months ago, competing in the Macau GT Cup. Fairly strong, ran well inside the top 10 all weekend. And in contrast to the drivers in front of him, to be just a second off their pace, ultimately it dropped out to about 1.6 during qualifying, but that was staggering. He had high hopes, was doing a brilliant job, was shadowing the tail of the top 10 yesterday, when unfortunately he just lost the rear of the car going through the corner they're approaching now, of course the notorious Mandarin Bend. And losing the tail of the car through Mandarin is one of those things you don't tend to survive unscathed. Mortara managed to pull it off during the qualification race in 2016, although did drag the rear wing across the barriers. That required him to hit pit lane for the team to work on the car. He managed to recover and finish 13th in the feature race. Of course, there was only 1 lap completed during that feature race. That was the race famously won by Lawrence Vanthoor, who's currently holding down position 7 in this field, on the roof of his Audi R8. One of the most amazing events I think anybody had ever seen. And with all the delays and the tight time schedule, of course, with the return of the Macau Grand Prix for Formula 3 cars, it meant that the race was ultimately declared by the time they righted the Audi and returned it to pit lane. Fortunately, Vanthoor, very much like Alex Young 10 years ago during the 60th anniversary event, and just yesterday for Adley Fong, all managed to escape the cars completely unscathed. And that is one of the highlights of a modern GT car. to see all the major marques represented here this weekend is fantastic, and to have the leading teams in the world back on the gear circuit is exactly what we've been hanging out to see. 3 years, the global pandemic had sidelined a number of the international stars. Of course, we had Engel and Mortara here last year, and that had an impact on the end result. In fact, if you go back to the way the event here has unfolded in past seasons for the Macau GT Cup, a man who won just a week ago for the Greater Bay event, Daryl O'Young, won the inaugural event in 2008. Keita Sawa, the Japanese driver who's raced at Le Mans and been successful there, won the event in 2009-2010. Then it was a string of victories for Edo Mortara, the man sitting in position number 3 in a watching brief at the moment behind his 2 rivals. He won in 11, 12 and 13. Mauro Engel had the first of his 3 wins in 14, backed it up in 15. Lawrence Vanthor won upside down in 2016. Mortara won again in 2017 as they dive once more down to Lisboa. Farfus won in 18. Marchiello won in 2019. Hongli Ye, who is in the field, currently holding position number 13. He won in 2020. O'Young won again in 21, 13 years after his first victory. He won again just a week ago. And Mauro Engel won last year in that classic battle, again on track with Audi's Edo Mortara. Through maternity, the gap hasn't changed. The lead's just 0.8 of a second. 0.7 back to Mortara. This sounds familiar. It was the same way 4 laps ago. 0.8 then back to Van der Linde. Well, it's probably a little closer than that. We are on board the 99 for Lawrence Vanthor. A little bit of daylight ahead of him. 2 seconds back from Sarah, immediately ahead of him. There is Sarah. Well, he's actually made up some ground. Farfus, and behind Farfus, Vanthor, that's who we're talking about. In fact, Vanthor 2.5 seconds further back behind that car. On screen, Juncadella, 1.5 seconds back behind him. And former Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup champion Alessio Picariello holding down position 9 ahead of Earl Bamber, with Kevin Estra behind him, and Christopher Haase doing what he can. He's right in that group. You'll see them come across the top of the hill. There's a trail of 4 cars, all separated by about 2 seconds, all looking for position. The only real chance for that is the run from Arbend down to Lisboa, and you really need to be tucked in right under the rear wing of the car in front of you. Now, technical issues can happen. Ask Mauro Engel. He had issues back a number of years ago whilst leading the race. It took him out of the race. From memory, it was debris, cut down tyre. And we don't wish that on anybody, but just highlights the fact that it's never over until the checkered flag is waved. So all is not gone. And certainly Edo Mortara currently race 2:16.328. Now his record yesterday was a 2:16.5. So Sarah in the, actually it's for Farfus, Augusto Farfus in the BMW has broken that. 2:16.2, Marchiello at 2:16.301, Engel at 2:16.386, Mortara at 2:16.328. These are the best drivers in the world, and you can see exactly why. At various stages during practice, we had the top 10 separated by about 0.6 of a second. That's how close it is on a circuit where your lap time is somewhere in the vicinity of a 2:15 to a 2:20. Staggering performance from these guys. Just shows why they are rated the best in the world and why they are employed as full-time factory drivers. To turn up to a circuit like this, some of them haven't been here for 4 or 5 years, and be immediately on lap record pace and then breaking records is just staggering. Marchiello, Engel, Mortara, Van der Linde, Sarah, Farfus, Vanthor, Juncadella, Picariello, Bamber, Estra, Haase. That's your top 12. Hongli Ye, David Chen, Caroli, who was fastest in the second practice session on Thursday, is back down in position number 15. Frankie Chung in position number 16. And Jules Gounon in position number 17. Must have an issue. Thomas Preen in Marchi Lee a little bit further back. So Marchi Lee has been an institution in this part of the world. Really did break ground for Asian drivers overseas, open wheel racing, very successful as a GT driver, alongside Alex Young, arguably one of the drivers with Frankie Chung, of course, who broke ground for Asian drivers in the world of GT competition. They've all competed at the Spa 24-hour race, sorry, the Nürburgring 24-hour race. Some of them have been to Spa. The Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup did run a fantastic program between 2012 and 2019. The last winner, Australia's Yasser Shahin, who's gone on to win multiple Australian GT championships, and very accomplished AM driver in international competition. Also owns the Ben Motorsport Park with his brother Sam in South Australia, about an hour and a half from Adelaide. Adelaide being a venue where we did compete with the Audi Sport R8. There's dramas, and that's opened the door. That's what we're talking about. And it was down at Lisboa. It's opened the door for Christopher Haase. He's made a position change. That's moved himself further forward. Now, it looked like Bamba was one of those cars. Now, Picariello's in an all-blue entry, and there is David Chen, the former AM Cup winner, or AM Class winner, certainly, for the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup, embedded in the tyres down there at Lisboa. Now, if they can't get that out of the way in the next 2 minutes or so, we will be under safety car. It'll certainly be waved yellows in Sector 2. Disappointment for David Chen. Very impressive, the Chinese driver. Now, I don't think he was involved in that incident. It looked like two Porsches. That is Gunon, well back down the field. So one wonders whether he had dramas off the start. Let's take a look at this. That is Bamba, and he's battling with Astra. Oh no, you can see what's going to happen here. Oh no, that was actually quite nicely done, I thought.